Everybody, coming at you again with another video. So this is what I want to talk about on this one: black on black crime. I might have already mentioned this in a few of my videos or made a whole video about it. I don't remember, but since it's on my mind right now, I'll address it. Uh, as far as black on black crime is concerned, yes, we definitely have a cultural issue with fighting one another. I think that issue is stemmed. Yeah, I know I brought this up before, but I'll bring it up. I think it's stemmed by a lot of different things, really. Some of it being within our own culture and within our doing, and others aspects of this are just outside of our control. Some of it is cultural, others is long-standing feuds, others is isolated incidents between people that just happen to live in the same areas, others is real domestic issues and things of regular nature. You know what I mean? Just regular people stuff. But I think a lot of people on the other side, so to speak, love using it as a talking point to try to discredit our position, stating that we only care if African Americans pass away if they're murdered by the hands of white people, and that is insulting. It's insulting. I think it's intended to be insulting, but I think it's insulting in a number of ways that maybe have not been brought up. I think most of the time when I hear African Americans retort to the black on black crime statement, it's usually the retort is, well, black people are close to one another, so they're going to kill people that are in the proximity of them. And, usually when an African American kills another African American, that African American goes to jail, as to where if a police officer or if a white person does it, we may not get the same justice. And those are the normal retorts. I'm going to give you a different one. The retort that I have is black on black violence is an issue that we live with. You on the outside, regardless of your supporter or not, if you're not from these neighborhoods, if you're not in these families, if you're not close to these people, this is just a talking point for you. It's just a point of view. It's something for you to talk about. It's something for you to point at and say they over there. For us, it's us right here. That's what black on black crime is to us. These are people that we've lost, that we mourn. Not circumstances far away that we can look at and say, see those people over there with that on them and over there. No, this is us with our pain, our loved ones, our family members, our enemies, our neighbors. When they are murdered by a black person, we mourn. We feel the pain, the struggle of watching whoever it is, if we love them, die. So to put this idea out there to try to discredit the social justice movement or the social rights movement or what have you, human rights movement, to try to discredit all of us and all of our supporters by saying, oh, black on black violence, they don't care about their own. We don't care? We're murdering our own. Of course we care. Our sons are murdering our nieces and nephews, and our cousins are murdering our uncles and aunts and brothers. Like, this is our mourning. These are our lost ones. These are our loved ones. Just because we're African American don't mean we don't have feelings. Just because we have been displaying a sense of strength and resistance to certain things because we've been forced to, does not mean that we don't have feelings or that we're not sensitive or that we are just completely absorbed with only one focus. We have lots of issues. But to try to tell me that I could care less about my own people dying, I've lost people to black on black violence. I got friends, acquaintances, people that I've been aware of, if nothing else, lost at the hands of other people that were their same color. I mourn those people. That was real to me. It's not a talking point. It's not something over there. I'm not talking about them over there and trying to discredit and silence them over there by saying, see, look at your dead people over there that you don't care nothing about. How sick of an individual do I have to be to do that to somebody? When they're sitting here saying, see, we're hurting, I bring up all they dead. Well, you ain't hurting that bad, because if you cared that much, you would have brought attention to what? To my own pain? Because that's exactly what you're asking us to do. You're telling us to focus on black crime as if we're not living with it. The reason why we are in a space where that doesn't get the attention that this does is because this problem has to do with all of us. And black on black crime is our very own issue. Why am I going to go down the street? And mind you, there have been, first of all, let me be very clear and say, there have been many demonstrations of nonviolence within our community, with our people, all over the country. If you need to do some research, please feel free to do so. But there have been plenty of rallies in many cities and neighborhoods all over the country in regards to this very thing. Organizations have been created to stop the violence. We've been screaming at each other to stop killing one another for as long as we've been putting in raps to continue to do so. It's just part of the black experience. And we understand that we have perpetrated a lot of the violence within our culture, within our music, and we know who's funded us the capability of doing so, and who put us in a position to let that message be heard by the masses. It wasn't us. And we know who gave us the guns, we know who gave us the drugs that made us crazy, we know who traumatized us into cultural frustration, who cornered us into these neighborhoods with nothing but liquor stores and gun shops and turmoil and poverty all over the place. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, are we? No, that's not a point of view that anybody wants to discuss when discussing black on black crime. The origin of why such a thing would even occur in the first place and why those people are in those places to begin with is not their own doing. We ain't going to talk about that. We will just talk about how the finish line ends with blacks killing each other and how they all end up in prison. Not the fact that they end up in prison, learn how to be better criminals, or let back out to do more crimes and then thrown back in. Rinse and repeat. And it's set up to do that, not rehabilitate, by the way. I'm not going to talk about none of that. I'm not going to talk about the educational system being screwed in these neighborhoods, blatant money not funneling into these neighborhoods to help fund these school programs and different opportunities for children to not be out on the streets. How we have money to do all this bullshit that we're doing for stimulus this, stimulus that, but we can't grab those black folks in those situations and bring them out of those circumstances. If it's such a big deal, since you are so concerned about black on black crime, you want to bring it up every time we bring up anything in regards to you holding yourself accountable, how about you do your part on black crime and take some of your privilege and power and capital and pour it into our community so this doesn't have to be a talking point for any of us, since all lives matter, right? That means that those who have the position to make sure that all lives get reached do so, right? That's your job as the leader. That's your job as the supreme, right? To make sure that everybody's straight. That's what a leader does, right? That's why I don't really involve myself in certain conversations such as these, because when you bring this kind of stuff up, there's no real retort. These are real facts. It's hard for the common American who doesn't really know the history to understand why African American doesn't appear to hold accountability for his own plight. But when you dig into the history books and you start to understand what has happened, then you realize the reality is it ain't really his fucking fault. That's a hard pill to swallow. I don't think most Americans are ready to admit that. Because we all want to hold ourselves accountable, or want to hold others accountable at least, if not ourselves. And it's very difficult to hold people accountable who are literally not in control of their own circumstances, who have been depraved to certain very basic situations that would otherwise make it so that they're not living such raw lives. A lot of people live behind the guise of comfort based on proximity away from certain rawness. Those bad neighborhoods, we don't go over there. But we sure as hell know what's going on over there from over here and love pointing fingers at them. but we're too damn shook to actually get up off our asses and go visit these neighborhoods, try to enrich ourselves in these communities so that we actually understand what's going on, as opposed to listen to the propaganda that's fed to us about how awful and evil and dangerous they are. And then we understand that we love kids, right? We pray for animals and kids and dogs and cats. There are dogs and cats and kids in these neighborhoods that you don't give a damn about because they belong to black people. And if you can find a common denominator, everybody seems to give a fuck about dogs, right? We got dogs in our neighborhoods, undernourished, surrounded by poverty, surrounded by bullets flying all over the place. Since you want to save the fucking dogs, how about you save the dogs in the hoods who are owned by black people? Improve those neighborhoods so that those dogs can roam freely without a stray bullet hitting them in the head or some shit, or stepping on a syringe or something while they're going to use the restroom out in the streets. Since we can all agree that animals mean more than humans in most cases, right? Especially in this country. Certainly treat us better. Treat them better. I'm over it. As you can see, my frustration level is high because I'm sick and tired of every retort that comes our way when we just say, yo, treat us right. Treat us right and learn the history. Those are the two things I'm asking everybody to do. If you're so convinced about how African Americans live and how we are, dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. Because for every black problem in this country, you're going to see a white man standing right there saying, nope, you can't go that way. You got to go down this path. That's not hearsay. That's not me passing the buck. That's not deflection. There's evidence of this. Plenty of it. Plenty of it. That's why we have so many allies. And that's why I would caution everybody who just, does away with the opinions of people like myself. Because I'm telling you, we wouldn't have so many people that look like you supporting us if there wasn't something to understand that maybe you don't. They're not all idiots. They're not all just rolling with the Democratic Party just because. This is not a political gang warfare type of situation that we're dealing with here. This is human rights. And your true north should be human decency. And if it's not, then you've probably been misled somewhere in your history. And make no mistake about it, I know it's difficult for a lot of y'all to swallow, but black people are in fact human beings. I know that's hard. I know it is. But believe it or not, we're flesh and blood, we're human. Like real humans, not some subhuman or some superhuman or whatever. Whatever. We're just people, man. And if you were put through the same stuff we were put through for as long as we were, you would be like us. You would be whatever it is that you think we are. Or worse, for that matter. Not enough people know what the hell has happened up until this point. All they see is what's going on now. Just like I said in the last video. I wish more people would just take their time, do their due diligence, do your Googles. None of this is happenstance. None of this is just overnight. People have worked very hard for the awareness that we have. People have worked very hard to see the place and the progress that we've made. And we'll continue to work hard to see better. Believe that. But anyway, I guess I've said all I wanted to say in this position, in this particular case. The black on black crime thing, yes, it's an issue we have to deal with regardless of who started it. It is something that we've continued to reinforce within our music and our actions, and it's going to take a long time to unlearn everything that we need to unlearn. And last but not least, the part that I didn't bring up is justice is not really lacking in those cases. Because the reality is, if the law doesn't take care of the black on black crime situations, the streets does. You ain't gonna hear too many cases of people saying, oh man, black dude killed my loved one and that's it. I'm waiting for somebody to march the streets for me. No. I tell you, the rawness of the lifestyle that a lot of people live, we're not waiting for cops. We're not waiting for justice. Sometimes people just take the law in their own hands, and that's why you don't hear nothing about it anymore, because the situations get handled in some of these circumstances. They just do. We deal with our own. So for those who are wondering why there's no marching on the street, no this, that, and the third, because chances are, if you're talking about the black on black violence that comes to mind for me, chances are there was a murder that caused that murder, that caused that murder, that caused that murder. This ain't just no isolated incident in a lot of those cases. These gang wars, these turf wars, don't need justice for that. The justice was the murder in a lot of cases. The one that you're hearing about is the response. That's something that y'all don't know nothing about. That's a lifestyle that you should know nothing about. Rawness. That's the type of rawness that I'm talking about. These things don't find themselves in your communities. These are the things you fear. This is the shit that's in your heart. This is not your reality. You don't deal with that. See, that's what bothers me. There's a respect that has to be understood from a position of someone who's never been through it towards someone who has. No matter what it is that we're talking about. Pick and choose any topic of any kind. If I don't know nothing about it, I'm going to listen to the perspective of somebody who does. In the case of race and inner workings of inner cities, that is not the case when it comes to individuals on that side who think that way. They don't give that type of credence to our perspective at all. They believe they know what's going on. They believe that what they're being told and what they read is accurate, and they don't question it. And then they look at us and say, see, you're not holding yourselves accountable. No, you're not listening to us tell you what's going on over here. You're not respecting the perspective of the person in the shoes. And it gets to a point where it's like, okay, so if you're not going to listen to me tell you what's happening over here and you're just going to come to your own conclusions, why am I discussing anything with you at all? That's what it comes down to. And then you never understand. Because we stop trying to make you understand. We stop thinking that you want to understand. You most so just want to hear yourself talk. You most so just want to be right. You want to feel like you're right rather than being accurate. Or you want others around you who look like you to agree with you. It's toxic. That whole perspective, that whole way of living is toxic. If you're not willing to listen to that person, tell you what they're going through, then you're not going to understand it. There's no ifs, ands, and maybes. Whatever comes out of your mouth in regards to their perspective is off. Why? Because you don't have it. It's just not there. You can't gain perspective without actually being there. Start listening to your neighborhood black person tell you what's going on in these places. Let them tell you. Don't let another person that looks like you sitting in a Fox News station tell you what's going on in black communities. They don't know. They're not there either. They're pushing an agenda upon you that'll keep you in their pocket. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I hope you listened. I hope you understood me. I hope you understood us. I hope you understand us. But if you don't, I hope you learn to. You block your own blessings when you don't respect black. I really believe that. There are a lot of great black individuals that will pick you up when you're at your lowest. Who will scrape you off the ground, put whatever shirt they have when they back on yours, and make sure you get where you're going. We are some of the best humans on the planet. I don't have to ask anyone. I've seen it with my own eyes. We're some of the best people on the planet. You know how you should know this? Because in all of this that has happened, all the stuff that we complain about, we've never just started attacking random people. We've never just started attacking random people. They've always told you to fear us doing so, but show me a time when we actually did it. Nat Turner? When has the black man gone out and actually taken revenge upon whites? We've organized, we've stood in solidarity, we've spoken rhetoric, we've put forth demonstrations of strength, and one by one we've been bullied, knocked down by the CIA, knocked down by this emphasis, that particular party. We've been lied upon and thrown in jail and done. All we do is stand still, put our heads up in the sky, and say we're proud of ourselves and who we are. That is enough of a threat. It never even gets to a point where we actually retaliate like some would. We ain't never went full-fledged jihadist on y'all. It's never happened. Yet you see us and you just think that we're these savages. You think that we these violent, just murderous people. When most of the time our people have been so afraid to fight you that we fought one another. So afraid to disappoint you that we've killed one another. It's never gotten to the point that you feared because it was never in us to be that way. But you're pushing us. You're pushing us in every generation, just like Pac told you. We've been asking you. We ask you. Now we're knocking doors down. Now, what's next? When are we going to realize that provocation is a toxic trait that is shown in so many different ways toward African Americans in this country? Y'all been trying to turn us into the monsters that you believed us to be for so long. And we've never answered the bell like you really wanted us to justify all these horrible things that you've done to us. Lynchings and whatnot. We've never justified it. We've always had justifiable reasoning for that craziness, but we never ever take it there because we're some of the best people in the world. Some of the best. Who else can endure all this and not retaliate the way that an animal would? While being painted as said animal. What's to say screw it and just behave the way you want us to behave, since you think us that to be that anyway? We have a dignity about us that continues to push back against that. No credence is ever given to that, because you have to be an independent thinker to actually see that. And most individuals who oppose us are not independent thinkers, because if they were, they would be able to see through the bull. And they're not. This is what it is. My name is BDF44. Thanks for another, some more support. Thanks for the support of watching this video, and thank you for paying attention to what it is that I've had to say. I'm going to continue to post these videos periodically, and I just hope that as time goes forward, this will become less and less relevant. That's my hope. I hope that this is just a reference piece, that none of this is even a part of what we go through going forward. That's my hope. My name is BDF44, and I'm out.